Rogan gonna be mad? She's gonna say it's Islamophobic that I'm pitting two strong women who wear the hijab against one another because I'm a gross Islamophobic man. Okay, that's what she's gonna say. I'm saying it. Rise of far-right female influencers. Oh my god. I would say half your chest very thirsty. Twitch is a very male-dominated platform. And I do sometimes have like Coomer behavior that I exhibit, which certainly does not play well. It certainly does feed into the Coomer attitude that people have here. It's something that I recognize about myself that I should definitely try and you know, not feed into, I guess. Does Eva Elfie like fat, sweaty nerds with small dicks asking for a friend? Yeah, I don't think so. She has a boyfriend. Anyway, we're talking about the rise of far-right female influencers, a decade of hate. Let's take a look at this. This is going to be my favorite.
Traditionally, the far right has been a male-dominated and often openly misogynistic space.
Feminism is cancer. Thank you very much.
But in recent years,
God, he's so good.
at least on the surface, something has changed.
At its core, feminism is ideological poison.
Across the world, women have emerged as key figures in far-right movements, playing a central role in softening the image and broadening the appeal of extremist politics.
They are absolutely crucial to spreading the ideology, but they are also crucial to spreading the ideology with a smile and making it seem palatable.
It was women that got Trump elected. And I guess to be really edgy, it was also women that got Hitler elected.
Across the US and Europe, a new generation of female social media personalities.
Why are RAFMs anti-sex work? Aren't they anti-capitalist? What? Radfems? What do you mean? There's plenty of fucking Radfems that are anti-sex work because like there's different types of radical feminism. Like they could be, there are anti-sex Radfems too. And also Radfems usually are pro-capitalist, not anti-capitalist. There's also anti-capitalist swerfs as well. It's a never-ending L sequence when you consider that she was complaining about how fucking sexist the right wing was to her. It's just, there's something that I am reminded on this wonderful moment.
Are emerging as figureheads of far-right movements.
If you get permanently banned on Twitter like I was, do not start a new Twitter account.
How does surf tie into anti-capitalism? It's just anti-sex. That's it. That's where it
You'll
comes
just
from.
build up your platform again and get kicked off again. Just move to Gavin Mines.
In Italy, the far-right politician Giorgia Meloni has just made history.
Tonight, Italy is preparing for its first ever female prime minister.
In France, Marine Le Pen, head of the far-right National Rally, has established herself as the leading rival to President Emmanuel Macron.
Le Pen is known for her far-right stances, like restricting immigration and banning Muslim women.
Bro, what are you talking about? Radical feminism is explicitly anti-capitalist? Yeah, all those fucking exclusionary radical feminists and all those fucking sex worker exclusionary radical feminists, like, they're all so anti-capitalist. No, man, a lot of fucking rad fems are not anti-capitalist at all. What are you talking about? It's like peak girl bossism when you think about what the most like popular, most visible aspects of radical feminism is. It's like girl boss fascism for the most part. Yeah, North Korea or socialist, Lamau. First of all, don't you dare disrespect the Democratic People's Republic, especially when I have two guests that are honorary guests of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Okay. And secondly, who cares what they call themselves? I mean, they are radfems, though. Those people they're not even feminists in most cases, so I get what you're saying. I get where your anger is coming from. But, like, you know, there are plenty of radical feminists in that group as well. Or at least they believe that they're deriving it from feminist theory. You're right in the sense that you are hyper-focusing on it. I already said there are anti-capitalist swerfs as well. Like, you're hyper-focusing on it by saying they're not real feminists. I agree. It's like white feminism is not real feminism. Do you understand? Why would you get mad at that? Rad Femcel? Yeah, well, Rad Femcel also memes a lot. Many MLs are swerves. I know. It is what it is. You know, I mean, there's like so much exploitation that occurs in that industry on top of the sexual nature of the work. So it breaks a lot of people's brains. Like the sex component makes it extra fucking difficult to deal with from their perspective. I just don't like that Radfem is kind of shit on in leftist spaces when it's explicitly leftist. Yeah, Radfem is shit on in leftist spaces because when you add a fucking qualifier to feminism, it just automatically turns into something fucking weird. The only qualifier that you want to add to feminism, which is a redundancy, should be intersectionality. It is a redundant thing to say that you're an intersectional feminist. But unfortunately, as a consequence of all these other fucking weirdos that have put these qualifiers, that's the reason why the moment that you tack on anything to the fucking, when you tack on anything to already like an appropriate designation, that means you are for equality, just you're feminist. That's it. Also, a lot of Radfems do behave like psychos. Let's be real. I'm the only normal one, and everyone else is abnormal. And if you're in here and you agree with me, you're also normal. But you know, that is the unfortunate reality, the truth that you cannot escape. Okay, sorry. Get mad at me all you want. It's fucking true. There's lots of literature on like Marxist feminism, though. Yeah, of course. Nobody tell him. Yeah, shut up, weeby. Go watch some more Bill Maher.
From wearing headscarves in public.
Have women actually become a secret weapon for the far right? Women on the far right have emerged as major social media presences, becoming leading influencers of the radical right.
I blame feminism for the reaction to what's going on and for the perpetuation of what's going on and why this migration, this mass migration into Europe has gotten so bad.
Lana Lockteff made her name spreading racist and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories through the white supremacist media channel.
Pick me women are so funny because they're trying to be picked by the grossest dudes with undercuts, dude. It's like the undercut automatically like makes you look a little bit better, no matter what, okay? Just a little bit. But unless you're a fucking Nazi, in which case it just somehow makes you look like a fucking Nazi and way worse, okay? So all you're doing when you're playing pick me for these motherfuckers is like you want the sweatiest, most bitch-titted, gross, unwashed fucking Nazi to be like, wow, I can't wait to bed you and give you the literal most disappointing 3 seconds you've ever experienced in your fucking life until I inevitably push aside all of my problems and then cope with them by drinking and domestically abuse you until you fucking finally cheat on me down the line. Holy fuck.
She runs with her husband.
Let me run through a few other European classics coming out that replace the main white character.
Lockteff has been clear about the unique roles she believes women should and should not play within far-right movements.
Although I think women are too emotional for leading roles in politics, this is the time for
Oh, by the way, every single person that they've shown so far is like straight up a fucking Nazi, like for the record. Just make no mistake. If you're like, oh, they're saying great displacement, like that's a Nazi dog whistle. Like, no. They're like actual Nazis. Like some of these people openly identify. Some of these people openly identify as Nazis. Yeah, this was so funny. Alt-right women are upset that alt-right men are treating them terribly. Oh! Remember a newer version of this happened when all the fucking TERFs were mad that like, men were taking over their talking points. Like they were like, there are plenty of TERFs that actually wrote extensively on the transphobia subject. You were not the first Christopher Rufo. You were not the first Matt Walsh. And they were like, shut the fuck up, bitch. That literally was their answer. Like they got all these like conservative TERFs were literally like, actually we wrote this first. And most of them turned around and said, shut the fuck up, bitch. Get back to the fucking kitchen. Women should not be writing. They should be cooking for the children. Literally. And those dumb motherfuckers still end up unironically pushing that agenda, no matter what. Why aren't you barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen?
Female nationalists to be loud. Why? Men. Women have a special power to inspire and motivate men.
If this, traditionally attractive woman with blonde hair and, a red lip, it somehow it's supposed to seem less odious when they talk about, white superiority, but it's about putting a certain veneer. It's also absolutely about recruitment.
Isn't that Jared Taylor? Oh, so gross, dude. Ew. Ew. One lip only. Oh my lord, dude. Oh my fucking lordy. Ugh, just so fucking gross. No, I'm sorry, but turtles come very close to deserving their misogynistic oppression. 100%. Dude, what do you mean? They literally are actively trying to make it. They are actively trying to make the world more oppressive towards women, which includes themselves. Of course, they fucking deserve the shitty bed that they made, you know what I mean? Now sleep in it, dumbass.
Yes, it's certainly true that the presence of women kind of humanizes and also almost justifies a movement.
Yeah, it makes it...
Like, these are... Chat, again, like, these are like Nick Fuentes style Nazis. Actually, Nick Fuentes would probably say, oh no, those guys are old Nazis, like, we're not like them. Like, these are just like super old school white supremacist terrorists. Of course, free speech.
It's softer to hear. It's easier for people to hear a hard message when it's a soft, good-looking woman saying it. It's just
showing the ways in which, there's actually more familiarity, more similarity, between, what the far right believes and what mainstream conservatives believe, I think is really crucial.
There's one key demographic in particular to whom female far-right influencers appear to have a special appeal. And that's other women.
The majority of white women voted for Trump. So I think the media is trying to spin it that, oh my God, all these women are feminists now. I think the majority are not feminists. And when you actually talk to women and say, well, what does that really mean? You find that the majority of them are actually quite traditional.
The irony is...
So, yeah, there are a lot of women who are not feminists. I wonder why. Where could that come from? I mean, you could literally, this is like a gender studies class. You know what I mean? It's like critical gender studies 101 or something. Like it literally is the exact same thing that you learn in college if you ever take a course like this. Yeah, because of the patriarchal construct. That's the reason why that is so powerful that women have internalized misogyny. You can also be traditional, I guess, and want to do traditional gender roles, want to play like traditional societal gender roles or whatever, and still be a feminist and offer that freedom to other women and fight for other women to have the freedoms to not do that. That is kind of the point. That's why I always say anti-hijab laws, especially in the Western world, are not feminist. They're anti-feminist. Because especially if you're in a predominantly Christian nation, and you still choose to wear the hijab, like, why the fuck is the government telling you you're not allowed to do that? You're still controlling women's choice to want to wear a hijab or not, you know? It's very, very stupid. You must wear a bikini. Laws in France are insane. That's just very French. That's all you got to say. The point of feminism? Yes, exactly. The point of... wait, where is it? Fuck. You said a really good... You really... You had a really good point. The point of feminism does not exclude you from making a traditional choice. It is to give you the option of choice. Exactly. Exactly. But of course... ultimately, unfortunate reality is that a lot of people end up getting completely caught up in the right-wing framing of this conversation. They get completely caught up in the right-wing framing of this conversation, and like some people unironically believe the memes almost, where they're like, no, feminism is about like being non-traditional. Like, no, that's not. Pro-choice means if you don't want to get an abortion, we're not going to fucking force you to get one. You don't have to get an abortion if you don't want to. People who want to get an abortion, which can in many instances be a life-saving medical treatment that should be easily accessible and free, then you can get an abortion if you want to. That's the entire point and perspective around pro-choice. But right-wing makes it seem like pro-abortion activists are not just about, they're not just fighting for pro-choice, but they're like literally trying to hold white Christian women down and fucking forcibly make them abort their, babies. Yeah, the right are much better at reframing and then forcing you to defend a reframed issue rather than call it out as reframing. Yeah.
Is that Locktiff and other far-right influencers spend much of their time railing against the feminist movement that won women the right to a public political voice in the first place.
I think of women back then not being able to vote and having the whole one house, one vote.
If some women choose to be anti-feminist due to patriarchal societal structures, can then same not be said about hijabis who choose to wear the hijab but have been influenced to do so by growing up in a patriarchal religious structure? No, because wearing a hijab and wanting to cover your head can be a fucking personal decision that you are making. That's why I even qualified it by saying in Western nations, okay? Because especially in predominantly Christian nations, it's like you can, you have the opportunity. It's still ultimately about bodily autonomy. If you want to practice your faith in that regard, you can do that. Every Westerner that is trying to have a conversation on this issue is talking to a Turkish person who benefited, in my opinion, from laicite in Turkey in original Turkish development, okay? Like, I understand that. Secularism or enforced secularism in a predominantly Muslim nation, still had devastating long-term damage, which is part of the reason why now, as a backlash to that, you have the Erdogan regime that is so fucking strong. There's a difference there. There's a distinction there. A lot of Muslims will get mad at me for this, for even saying this. But even then, especially in Western societies, especially in Christian societies, like, you can absolutely, you can still absolutely fucking do whatever you want. The choice is similar to wearing a hijab and wearing a cross, but when women make choices, it's always political. No, when Muslim women make that choice, it's like extra political too. For the Catholics in the chat, you would never make a requirement for women to wear veils in mass if they want to, because people can practice religion the way they fucking want. It's Islamophobia. Yeah, like, you don't have this take for like Jewish people that want to wear the yarmulke. You know what I mean? Gideon responded, he said, he has not. Like, are you going to tell me that Ilhan Omar, like, it is so weirdly patronizing when you immediately see a woman wearing a hijab and you make the assumption that they are somehow being forced into doing such a thing as a consequence of like oppression, and they're still under that oppressive influence. Like, you're taking away their autonomy, and you're doing it for some wonderful, brilliant women. Okay? Ilhan Omar being an example. And then maybe not as wonderful or brilliant, my moderator, Morgan, who is also a content creator. I'm sorry, Ilhan Omar and then Morgan, like, I have to qualify it. You know what I mean? Like, I can't go from Ilhan Omar to be like, my ovaries want to get sucked like boba. And be like, you know, still wonderful and brilliant, just not at the same level as Ilhan Omar, okay? Yes. Ilhan Omar and Frogan, famous for who up late night playing with they worm. Frogan gonna be mad. She's gonna say it's Islamophobic that I'm pitting two strong women who wear the hijab against one another because I'm a gross Islamophobic man. Okay, that's what she's gonna say. That's public health expert Morgan for you. Okay. Anyway, let's continue.
Vote thing. Why would you marry a man who wouldn't vote in your best interest or you wouldn't agree with politically to begin with?
They sort of position themselves, or they have this posture of, as a woman, I can speak to what feminism really is. Women who feel threatened by it, women who don't see a place for themselves, they think that feminism has made the world a worse place. They think that it is ultimately an anti-woman project. They also describe partnership and motherhood as political action, because when your whole project is about guaranteeing the future of whiteness, fulfilling all of that is a matter of politics.
Awesome. All right, that looks great. Now this is complete. You're done. You've got this cute ad-friendly makeup look.
Figures like the Canadian alt-right star, Lauren Southern, operate as independent, empowered entrepreneurs and consciously use the same social media strategies as other online influencers to build their following.
Underestimated the amount of people that were gonna be here. I said there was only gonna be 1,000. There are thousands. Hey, it's someone who watches the channel. How's it going?
Alongside the anti-feminist rhetoric from influencers has been the growth of an entire online subculture known as tradwives, who actively reject pursuing their own careers or independence in favor of raising families and submitting to their husbands.
Don't listen to this narrative of feminism that is killing white Western society. Don't buy into it.
The trad movement is this movement to celebrate women who are in traditional roles. You are creating content that celebrates, that, highlights how good the trad life is. It's making traditional gender roles seem appealing, seem cool, seem a part of the future. But if you really spend time with it, and you look at some of these, Instagram accounts or TikToks, what you'll realize is it's as much about what it's against as what it's for.
Thank you for not being ashamed to be traditional, to be Christian, to be conservative, and to be white.
I'm feminine, not feminist, right? And so seeding these ideas that, you want to be like me, look how great my life is, children love me, men love me, like, look how celebrated I am in comparison to, right? You'll start to see the ways in which being trad is also about being anti something, not just pro-tradition, but anti-progress. No role could be more important in the far right than being someone who is willing to uphold a society of traditional gender roles and to have children and raise children within that society.
In Europe, two examples stand out of female politicians leading far-right parties to mainstream acceptance. In France, Marine Le Pen took over her father's far-right anti-immigration party in 2011 and immediately set about trying to soften its hardline image, taking it from the margins to become a major opposition party.
Je contrôlerai l'immigration et rétablirai la sécurité pour tous.
Far-right movements and parties, first of all, are highly strategic, and secondly, are highly opportunistic. Women are essentially a tool to that end. Women are seen as having a better entree into that process of detoxification.
There will be in these immigrants.
I like how they have the specific code for clothing and hairstyle amount. This is a very fun US-like thing. Oh yeah. You could just tell. It's in America especially, I can immediately tell when a white lady is like conservative. Actually everyone, really.
terrorists.
Marine Le Pen is a very smart and adept politician. She wants to project racist ideas to potential voters, but she also sees that there's a boundary, and if she goes too far, that would start costing her voters.
Marie Le Pen!
Adding voters.
Le Pen has even tried to co-opt feminist arguments, pitching her anti-immigrant rhetoric as a defense of women's rights.
A day after the allegation.
Dude, that is the most French thing I've ever seen, dude. God damn. French people love burning down everything, like every goddamn weekend, and just freeing the titties in protest. It's awesome. It's just the most French thing, dude. They love freeing the nipples and burning shit down in protest, both in protest. How are you the oldest song when you have such a youngest sibling personality? You being an older brother only comes out when you're talking to Marat, but the rest of the time you act like a youngest sibling. And I know as the oldest one, that is the most parasocial thing I've ever heard in my entire life, dude. Like literally, that's crazy. I don't even know what that. I don't even know what the energy is there.
Of mass sexual assault were made public, Cologne continues to search for the perpetrators and for answers.
I mean, they're right though. I don't know what that means.
2015, large numbers of women were sexually assaulted by groups of male immigrants at celebrations in Cologne and other German cities. Far-right parties immediately seized on this to amplify panic about the so-called European migration crisis.
Yeah, no, famously like white guys do not do any sexual assault. It was a unique predicament caused by migration. Before migration, zero sexual assault. Crazy.
That year.
An estimated 1,700 white-wing demonstrators protested Germany's liberal immigration policy after more than 20 migrants were arrested for allegedly assaulting women on New Year's Eve.
Not zero, but it was lower. Yeah, dumbass, because there's more people. Like, not because they're more brown people. There's just more people. Have they not heard of Italians? I was going to make that joke. I didn't make that joke. I'm just reading you making that joke, okay? Population increase.
Le Pen herself wrote an editorial claiming that immigration from Africa and the Middle East was a threat to women's rights in Europe.
The fact that Marine Le Pen uses women's rights in some arenas and doesn't use women's rights in other arenas is a perfect example of how that's an opportunistic strategy. It's a tool to say, I want to attack ethnic minorities, I'm going to attack them using this tool.
In Italy, there's been a similar process of female-led detoxification, with Giorgia Meloni leading the far-right Brothers of Italy, which has roots in Italian fascism, to become the largest party in parliament.
Moi, je crois que Mussolini, c'était un bon politicien.
The 45-year-old firebrand insists she's no fascist, just a proud conservative and nationalist.
And unlike Marine Le Pen, Giorgia Meloni doesn't use feminism in order to gain votes.
I see the woke ideology. Will we surrender in front of this?
In fact, she openly rails against modern feminism, instead championing so-called traditional family and gender roles, despite herself having faced the stigma of being an unwed mother.
Sí a la familia natural. No a los lobby LGBT.
That's the best part. Hey, listen, women can have a little hypocrisy as a treat. You know what I'm saying? That it's like Lindsey Graham. Just gonna leave that there. Nothing else to add to that. Just Lindsey. It's like Lindsey Graham. Think about that. You infer whatever you want to infer out of that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying anything, but you know.
Meloni's, like virtually all far-right politicians, extremely contradictory. Some parts of feminism work for her as a politician. At the same time, absolutely interested in using anti-LGBT, anti-women's rights, anti-welfare for immigrant rights rhetoric when it suits her. Very important to realize that women are not politically a monolith now or in history. We create our own peril by failing to understand how central women can be in the far right if we have blinders on that make us think that.
Why haven't the crime rates rose in EU countries that didn't accept as many migrants, though? Genuinely curious. First of all, what? Okay. One, when a population increases, okay, crime rates, not necessarily crime rates, but like crime will increase. Population means more crime. More population means more crime. Okay. But you also made this part up because crime, as complicated as a concept it is a consequence of numerous conditions, most important one being socioeconomic conditions, your material conditions. They are the primary predictor of crime. Okay? People do crime. And usually it's poor people doing the crime. Some might even say that society is designed to criminalize poverty. I would agree with that. Okay? You're just basically saying everyone's doing crime. I just want white people to do it. I don't like it when, brown people are doing crime. I want the country to maintain its whiteness. That's it. Not like a brown people thing. It's a thing. It's a people thing. It's a poor people thing. And if you were to say, for example, this is every light racist in the EU, first of all, there's no such thing. That guy, if examined a little bit further, will prove to you that he is not a light racist. If you ever want to find out what like a European guy thinks, if you ever want to find like an EU guy being racist, just ask them what they think about travelers, and they will very quickly tell you, how they feel about people.